My biggest strength was was my parents realized, like, if I create an adaptive environment for him, he's going to get smacked in the face by reality when he leaves the house. I think also, I thought asking for help was weak. And I think especially as men, there's a stigma around men asking for help, right? It makes you an inadequate man, or you're less than. And I got to the point where I realized, like, whatever's most efficient, I'm going to do that. That pain pushed me to, I guess, become a savage or evolve, right? It was like, I want a girl, so what do I need to do to get a girl, right? I can't change no legs, one arm, but I can get jacked, or I could become a wrestler. And so I wanted to become a wrestler. My older brother was a wrestler. All my best friends are wrestlers. And the only thing that was holding me back was my arm. And so I came home and I sat both my parents down. I was like, can we cut this thing off? And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I want to become a wrestler. I can't do it because of the arm. Is there any surgery or amputation that we could do to figure this out? And they were like, do you really want to do it? And I was like, 100%. And so my sophomore year of high school, which I was like 16 years old, they scheduled the appointment for the doctors to amputate the arm so I could become a wrestler. So what do you think about the current admit? And I was like, my agent was like, no.
Don't say nothing like that. You know, like in the movies, like like no.
He's PR trained.
Yeah. So is your agent as well, or is
not
another
in China,
agent?
But yeah, brother, manager, all the things.
Okay.
Yeah, but different agent in China. Yeah.
So you have different agents in different countries.
Just China is a different one.
Because so we're saying agents, right, or Asians?
Agent. Or agent. This guy
just wanted to warm you up so you know what to expect in this episode.
No problem.
You're like, how did I ever accept to come on this shit, bro? It's fucking disaster.
Nah, I like it. It's great.
Nick, welcome. Shall I give it a go, your surname, or should we just carry on?
Please.
Is it Santonastasso?
Perfect.
But what's the background for that? Where does that come from?
Italy.
Italian.
Yeah.
Italiano.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to Dubai. I knew you were going to come back.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew you were going to be trapped.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here. Like I said, I came here for 9 days, looked around and said, this looks good, and packed my bags, left everything in America, and came here.
You did the whole Dubai thing. You came and you were like, I will take it.
Literally. Sure, give me this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was it that made you think, nah? Because it's a big move. It's not a...
Yeah.
It's not a little move.
Yeah, a few things. Well, first, I ended a 5-year relationship.
Okay.
And so
I was going to say nice, but
yeah,
I don't know
nice.
if that's
no,
nice
it was
or
good. Nice, bro.
Yeah.
So I had nothing holding me back that in that sense. And when I came here, there was a few things that really stood out to me. The first thing was energy. I'm a big energy guy. I read people for a living. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I read people for a living. And it was a very collaborative energy. You and I talked about that. Where I'm from in America, in the industry and the coaching and the speaking, it's a lot of competitive and holding on to their own and not wanting to share anything. And I just want to serve people. I served my way to the top. That's how I've gotten here. And everybody was open for a collaboration, or who can I connect you with? What can I do? So that was the first thing. The other thing is, a lot of people have money here. Right. Yeah. So you can't really flex with like who's got more money and the cooler watch, whatever. And so a lot of the relationships are built off of what's your integrity, what's your mission, and what do you want to do? And if it's in alignment, like let's execute on it. So I realized that the relationships were built off of more meaningful things other than like, oh, he's got money and this and that. And so that was very interesting to me. And then the forward thinking mentality of, the people that run these places, right? They're very forward thinking. There's less red tape. They want to execute. They know if it's a good idea, let's just make it happen. And that's a lot of opportunity, right?
100%.
So there were a few things. And then, the cool yachts and the skyscrapers and the great weather and the great food. I mean, the list can go on and on, but I was like, this seems like a good spot for me.
Yeah. And now to get back at your ex, say the last thing, and the women.
Yeah, there's a big pool of that, right? There's a lot of cultures, a lot of women from all different places.
It's so dope here. Look, honestly, like it's kind of weird. It's so childlike. I get so happy when people make the decision. Like I've tried, like every time a friend comes over, like my goal is to convince them to move here. Like even friends that, like I got off the phone the other day and I had planned selling 2 businesses and 2 properties for my friend that he had no idea. Like that wasn't his plan. Like, do you know what I mean? But by the end of the call, he's literally just getting rid of his whole life to come out here. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like maybe he won't like it here, but I don't care. Like I just know out here there's so much to offer, and not just like you said, it's not just a money thing, because you have that here.
Yep.
You have that, hey, look at this, and hey, look at that, and you also have the one, Lebanese guy who is sharing a flat with 5 other guys, but is also wearing a Rolex and driving a Ferrari that he's paying for monthly. Do you know what I mean? And I can say that because I'm Lebanese, so fuck you all. But you have that kind of also that, look, we're just here to kind of get on with it kind of thing. And I just think it's beautiful, man, to just be in a place that isn't, it kind of feels like Dubai doesn't have an HR, if that makes any sense. Like, in business, you're like, I want to do this. Okay, I have to run it up all the places and through the HR and then to the next. It's just like one guy who's making a decision is like, yes, that sounds cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it just gets done.
Totally agree. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of red tape, right?
Yeah.
And so here, there's no red tape, and it's very accessible. And I agree. Everybody's doing something. Everybody's like hustling, or they're creating something, and they want to build something. And I think just in proximity of that raises your identity. You become a greater
100%.
version of self, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And you get a sick tan because you're always in the sun and on the beach and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, there are so many questions. And I told you before we started, I'm going to conduct this interview like a child. Because I'm interested in so much shit. And I've watched videos of you, from when you were a kid and all of that stuff. So where do I start? Okay, no, I want you to start. When did you have your first memory or you first started to realize that you were different to the friends around you? Or...
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Immediately what comes to mind is there's a childhood picture of me. I think I was probably in preschool where it was a Christmas picture of our class and everybody was smiling, and we all had Santa hats on, and I had my hand stuck up in my hat because I didn't want to show my finger. And so I guess I was insecure even in preschool, or I realized that I was different, or I didn't want to show my limbs or something. And so I think, and that just like came to me just now. And so I guess early on, I just learned that, I was in a wheelchair and everybody wasn't in a wheelchair, or like, I'm not grown, I'm still short. Like, why is everybody taller than me, right? And so I think early on I learned that. But I think as I got into like middle school and high school, like I really understood that I was different, because other people let me know that I was different, whether it was, girls or guys or comments, and kids are just savages,
This is what I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
You chose the word savages, but the real word is cunts, bro. Kids can be fucking cunts, bro. Honestly, like I've seen that shit and I know it, and I don't think they mean to be when they're really young, because having kids and seeing them, they just point out the obvious. Yeah. So, my kids, when they were 3, not out of being malicious, but if they saw you, they'd be like, how come you don't have legs? Or they don't mean it as oh, you don't have, they're just curious. Yeah. They have this kind of curiosity.
Which I love.
Then you have that kind of balance in between. So I think what I wanted to talk to you about, which is kind of, which I can kind of relate to, is your parents. Now, there's so many stages in this that we're going to go through. So you have the kind of, I kind of remember, you've seen Ray Charles, right?
Yeah.
You see that scene when he's calling for his mum, and his mum's standing there silent, and she won't talk to him. She's not because she knows that if she keeps helping him out, then he's never going to be able to get anything done. So how heart-wrenching that scene is, where you have to be kind of like as a parent, it's very kind of like, it hits me a lot. Did you have something kind of similar to that?
Yes, that's a great question. My biggest strength was my parents realized, like, if I create an adaptive environment for him, he's going to get smacked in the face by reality when he leaves the house. Or they understood that they weren't going to be around forever. My parents, even moving here, my parents like sent me a text and they were like, our biggest dream was for you to be independent, and now we're kind of sad that you are, like, you're so far away. But for example, my parents would put my food in front of me. I would sit in a high chair, they would put my food in front of me, they would put a spoon there and some waffles, and they'd be like, figure out, go for it. or they would put my clothes in front of me and they would say, figure it out. And they would give me verbal suggestions, but oftentimes they physically wouldn't do it for me. And this did two things that I think are really impactful, and you can relate to it as a parent, which, by the way, that's really difficult, right? Is just let your kid struggle.
My heart is just like, if I see them anything that they can't do, my instant thing is to, let me help you with that. But even me as a, someone who trains martial arts and these kind of things, and who's had a life, with ups and downs and that, I'm just like, don't do it. Let him figure this out.
Yeah. That's why I tell people too, is like, most people with all their arms and all their legs are still handicapped by their childhood, by their upbringing. Right. And so when my parents didn't do those things for me, the first thing that it programmed my brain to be was solution oriented. Meaning it's like, okay, you have a problem, but it's like, I was so stubborn that I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it myself and be independent, that it like forced me to be solution oriented and figured it out, which also benefits me as an adult and entrepreneur to be solution oriented, right? People can have all their arms and all their legs and only focus on the problems in their life. You have a lot of people like that. The second thing that it did for me was I became very familiar with failure. Failure was a best friend, right? And so I think oftentimes our relationship with failure can dictate our level of success. And so I would say run without my legs, right? Ran towards failure. I ran into failure, and I knew it was a part of the process. And the faster that I fail, the faster that I get feedback, the faster that I could be successful. So me and failure were best friends. I failed to feed myself. I failed to clothe myself. I failed to get on the chair. I failed to get the girls, all the things, right? I failed at everything. And I just learned that it was part of the process. So it was massively impactful for me that my parents didn't put little loops on zippers and stepping stools everywhere, because I was cultivated into an independent little boy, right?
Yeah.
So but that's how they raised me, and even with my siblings, like my siblings beat me up. I got beat up just like you, thrown around. They didn't treat me any different. Actually, what's pretty funny is there was a moment though where my siblings were like complaining that I was like slow. Like, he's so slow, like he just doesn't do things. And my dad like got pissed off. He's like, all right, you think he's slow? This is what we're going to do. And he tied one of their arms behind their back. And he's like, okay, there's a glass. You can only use one finger. Figure it out. And they got a big perspective shift. They humbled themselves. But my dad was like, all right, get on your knees, only use one arm, and try to do what he does and see how fast you could do it.
You realize how fucking fast this motherfucker is. This guy's the T100, bro.
So my dad taught him some lessons. But my parents were big in the fact that, they treated me normal. Even the fact of just going through with the birth, right? To be honest, like the doctors were like, you probably shouldn't have them,
because they had the option, right? Especially back then.
They didn't know, right? When I was born, I was classified with hand-heart syndrome, which either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. In 1996, I was the 12th baby they've ever seen this happen to.
Wow.
And out of the 12, 8 of those babies died. They were born with undeveloped organs. So when the doctors looked at my parents, they did the ultrasound. They said, he's got a 30% chance to live. I don't think you should do it. And my parents were like, no, we're going to do it. And I popped out.
They were doing the Usher thing. Watch this.
So I popped out, and all my organs were 100% healthy, and the only thing that was affected were my limbs.
Wow.
And, they told my parents, you should give them away. You should put them in an institution.
Wow.
They also gave them a big list. They said, he'll never feed himself. He'll never dress himself. He'll basically be a big baby. And I always say, now those doctors are dead, and I'm rich and healthy, and
that was great.
I win.
great toilet paper that list was for your parents, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know on the flip side, because obviously, like you said, it was great what they did, and it kind of helped me to get where. But as a child, there must have been a point in the beginning where you were like, why aren't you helping me? Like, how did you understand that? How long did it take you to understand that? Because obviously now, in hindsight, you're like, amazing. I'm so glad that they did that, and 100% it was the right thing to do. But as a 2, 3, 4-year-old child, surely, because you're just figuring shit out, right? So was there a part there where you were like, do they not like me? Why are they not? Because you're not going to understand from their point of view, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it was all I knew. That it wasn't like initially they would do everything for me and then so all of a sudden pulled back. I think it was just the frame, like from the get-go, right? It was just how it is. But I think my love language probably was words of affirmation, like, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Keep going, and that's all I needed. But also, bro, I'm super stubborn. I'm a Taurus. I'm like super stubborn, and like I wanted to do things on my own. Like even in middle school and high school, like maybe the kids were thinking about girlfriends and boyfriends, and I was like, how am I going to make money myself?
Yeah,
like how am I going to become financially independent?
I need to perfect that skateboard handstand.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like I was just programmed just like to be independent. And I think, and this could relate to a lot of people, is I think also I thought asking for help was weak. And I think especially as men, there's a stigma around men asking for help, right? It makes you an inadequate man, or you're less than. And I got to the point where I realized, like, whatever's most efficient, I'm going to do that. So there was a long time where I didn't ask for help, right? Like, don't help me with the water bottle. I want to do it on my own, And then there got to a point, like, especially as I became an adult, was like, if it's faster for you to just open the water bottle, I'm just going to ask for help. Like, whatever's most efficient, right? But I think I had this stubbornness of, no, I want to do it. Mom, don't help me. I want to do it on my own. I want to figure it out. And I would literally tinker with things for hours until I got it. So I think my stubbornness was actually a superpower as well.
And especially with friends, right? And once you get close to people, you're like, okay, you already know I can fucking do this. So just pass me that water, please. Just give me the water, dude. Like, I'm thirsty. I don't have to prove it to you. We've been homies for ages. You know exactly what I can do.
Can you just do it?
Can you just bloody just bring this glass to my mouth? Because it's like, bloody hell. I might want to take 2 sips, put it down, and take another sip. It's bloody effort, bro. Like,
for sure. And the big thing too, bro, was a lot of the times I would reject or reflect or redirect help. I would push it away. And then I realized this. Say you wanted to help me do something, and I was like, no, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm actually robbing you of the opportunity to serve me.
Interesting.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Right? And especially in this culture.
Yeah. Being
being in the Middle East, they just want to help. They just, I'll feed you, you know? I'm like, sure, but let me do it. I can do it on my own.
Don't turn down the food, bro.
Right? Right? But like you said, like I would think I'd have to prove something. And now when someone, Nick, can I pick you up? Sure. Yeah. Because I don't want to rob them of the opportunities to serve them. It's the same thing. It's like when your homie's like, I'll cover the bill. Please. Yeah. Go ahead, please cover the bill. You know, it's like, I don't want to rob you of the opportunity.
Here, you will not be able to rob anyone of that opportunity because we have a way of doing things. Yeah. You'll be like, who's getting the bill? Already done, my friend.
It's already done.
Remember when I went to the bathroom 10 minutes ago?
The card was already handed in.
It was done, bro.
The sneak attack.
Yeah.
So that was another thing too, is just allowing people to help me and not feeling less of a man because I'm getting help. That's big.
Yeah, 100%. That's big for both sides.
Both sides, anyone. Right? Yeah. Even if you have all your arms and all your legs and someone wants to help you, it's like, don't rob them of the opportunity to serve you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Because people kind of have that both physically and emotionally, right? So I guess you got to kind of figure out with both sides, because also a lot of people might seem very physically, and you get this with, huge amounts of male suicides, right? Guys are happy on the surface. They're happy, they're jacked, they're good. You think these guys super healthy, everything's going great for them. But emotionally, because we also have that stigma with guys, right? So they don't kind of ask for help there. Yeah. And shit happens.
Yeah, bro. It's a big thing. Like, for example, my brother 4 years ago passed, overdose from a heroin and fentanyl overdose. And I think maybe if he would have, I don't know, but maybe asked for help sooner or didn't think it was weak, whatever it is. But the example with guys who are super jacked and they have their jets in the cars, right? Those are the guys that need it the most, right? Because you realize at a specific level of success that nothing materialistic will fill a spiritual hole.
That's what I was going to say. They base their spirituality on that,
And you realize, it's like, I've been there where you're like, well, once I get the money, I'll be happy. It's like, once I get the jet, or once I get, and then you get it, it's just another thing, right? And that kind of screws you up because you're like, I thought it would do it. I thought it would heal me, right? And so that's where like my profession and my specialist comes into play, right? I'm 28 years old and I've spent 8 years of my life studying 3 things: human behavior, psychology, and communication. And I've realized that everybody has patterns and everybody struggles, and oftentimes they don't feel like they can talk to someone, or they can, or they don't have the tools to heal it,
to express it as
right?
well.
And a safe space. Or that's another thing too, is like thinking expressing your things is weak, right? When in reality, bro, like the strongest men can talk about the hardest things.
That's like me, bro. I'm the most annoying friend ever, dude. Are you? Because I'll just say shit, bro. When I'm feeling a certain way, I'll just literally, because I have this issue with text messaging. I think it's killing friendships, and I just like getting on a call. I like, yo, Nick, what's up? What's happening? For two reasons. One, let's have a 10-minute conversation instead of a 3-day WhatsApp back and forth. That's going to give me the same information as the thingy. And two, I want to know, because I'm like you, I can read shit very well on people. I know when somebody's unhappy. I know when someone's sad. I know when, by phrases that they say, what they really mean by it. Yeah. Like, you could say a phrase, but it's something completely different. But that's the only way they know they can put that across. And if you pick up on it, you pick up on it. If you don't, you don't. So you can tell a lot by having that. You can't tell emotion off a text message.
Yeah.
You can do a fucking smiley face emoji and shit. It's like, all right, cool, I get it. But just that conversation, I just love, and pretty much why I'm doing the podcast, right? I love being able to speak to people. And how often do you get 1 to 2 hours? We met today, 10 minutes ago. I'm going to build a friendship with you in these 2 hours that in the outside world would probably take us about 2 years. Because it's non-distracted, 2 hours of face-to-face, eye-to-eye. We're talking to each other. We're learning about each other. Emotions are getting passed. We're figuring each other out. When else do you get to do that with people? So in the outside world, I might meet you at an event. Hey, Nick, what's happening? Cool. Yeah, cool. Oh, welcome to Dubai. All right, cool. And then it ends. Yeah. Then I'll see you at another event, have another 2-minute conversation. So that the conversation that we're going to have now, it's going to cut 2 years off of a friendship, right? So and you can become really close.
I agree. Condensing time.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, and we could just go deep fast, right? And I think the level of expression, and you can create a safe container, I can create a safe container, and you told me before we're going to talk about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You kind of pre-frame it, we're just going to go anywhere. So yeah, I totally agree, and I think things can be misinterpreted through text too. Yeah. Right? If things get jaded or different emotion.
He's remembering that last 5-year relationship. You're just like, I can see it in your head. You literally had messages in your head. You were like, that's not what I meant, but fuck it. Like, kind of thing.
Just go with it, right? Yeah. But yeah, I think, bro, and that's why communication is so important. You know, that's why I dedicated my life to it, because I think a lot of problems can just be handled through authentic 100%. Communication, and having the willingness and the heart and courage to just be direct. And I think, you know, the best of friends can speak directly to 100%. Each other. You know, there's saying love ain't lies. So let's just speak directly to each other, right? My friends
still get confused when I get off the phone. I'm like, all right, I love you, bye. And I can hear them like they want to say it, but something is just stopping them. I'm like, man, you're such a macho dickhead, bro. Just tell me you love me. I know you love me, bro. Like, just say I love you. Say it. Say you love me.
I'm not hanging up.
Kind of thing. I'm gonna keep calling you back. But yeah, I'm just kind of weird like that. I'm not. I decided so long ago that I'm not gonna be bound by these stupid kind of things that we're supposed to be, right? Let me go back a bit. Again, asking these really awkward questions again, because I want to get to know you. Please. And maybe through a weird question, you'll get to know something, you'll get to think about something you never really thought about like that before. Do you think that your siblings ever resented you? But let me get to the point about that. Anything that they had an issue with, it's kind of like, yeah, that's not a big thing. Look what Nick's going through. Or do you know what I mean? Like, whatever was a thing to them, how did your parents balance out to still be kind of aware of their issues, even though to you, you're achieving so much, and to them, what might be a big thing to them, like them hurting their arm or whatever, you'd be like, hey, this guy just did a handstand on a skateboard. You're telling me your arm's a bit, you got pins and needles, or do you know what I mean? So do you think there was ever...
That's a great question. I'm going to call my sister. Right? Hold on, let me call you. No, that's a really good question. I think maybe there was some resentment because maybe all of their excuses were invalid, that's what I mean. Or they didn't get.
And not coming from a place of That's why the word resentment, I had to kind of angle it to where it was, because obviously they love you and they would never resent you for who you are. But I see it now in my kids. Whenever I say one thing to the other one's kind of like
what about
hello?
Yeah.
I mean, my picture's fucking sick too. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. I think that's a good question. Even for my parents, even ask my parents. I think, because I can't speak for my parents, but I think maybe they had compassion for all of us love them all equally,
Yeah.
but I think there could have been resentment, but I think they also took a lot of perspective from it. And I think there was more of a strength for them as well, because they always looked at me like, look at him go. I think they drew a lot of inspiration from it. But they also bullied me and picked on me and all the things. But yeah, I think it added some pressure. But I'd be very curious to ask them if they ever resent me for any reason, and if they'd have the emotional awareness and bandwidth to be able to communicate it directly to me, right?
Yeah.
And so I think after this, that's a great question. I'm gonna call them and ask. And be like, hey, have you ever resented me?
I mean, it's like, it's not
if I call you crying,
yeah, exactly.
Later, it's because
you ruined my life, bro. I was confident.
My sisters won't talk to me anymore, bro. I don't know what you did.
But you know what the point of that? The good thing is, we'll be on a call while you're crying to me instead of a text message, right?
That's why you asked
I'm preparing this, right?
It's like, how can I get Nick to call me back,
All right, here's another question.
Yeah.
As a father, I want to punch kids in the face.
Your kids or other kids?
No, other kids.
Okay.
Like, if I see... I have this natural kind of like, look, two things that that I was aware of. Once I became a father, I knew I would kill. Like, I realized I have the power in me to kill. If you asked me before that, I would have been like, no, everyone's, human on the earth and we must... Now, anyone touches my kid in a way, and I'm talking about adults, like in a funny way, or...
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about it. Say hello to all of my friends, like, kind of thing. Like, I realized it gave me that strength that I love them so much that if anyone was to hurt them, it's over, bro. It's over, right? So, have you ever spoken to, or... Like, I'm interested in your parents' head, because obviously they want you to do your own thing and they know that you can do that. But I mean, from the side of them worrying about the other kids, not you, worrying about how those other kids would treat you, must have been like a big pressure on them. Because like I said, I'm just looking for kids to say something wrong now. Like, I go to the school. I go to their school. Like, I'm ready to scrap, bro. Yeah, I'm ready to. Yeah, exactly. My kids train jiu-jitsu. No, I told them, you guys are like the craze. You like this Peaky Blinders, bro. There's no one-on-one. Anyone touches your brother, you come like a lion out of the forest, bro, and you kill that. But like, I've taught them that there's no fairness in one-on-one. Nah, we are a transformer, dude. Like, we are Power Rangers, bro. One jumps on the shoulder. Like, don't mess with us, because... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just walk around their school now, just looking like, he looks like he could be a problem. Like, maybe I need to beat up his dad. Like, just squash this from... Yeah, just squash this from early, kind of thing. So did you think that... How do you think they dealt with that side of it? Because they were confident you could look after yourself and they could protect you by teaching you how to be that way. But they couldn't protect you when you weren't with them at school, on the bus, wherever you are. So how do you think they managed that?
Yeah, these are great questions.
You're going to make a lot of phone calls after.
These are great questions. Actually, what just sparked in me is, I think they tried to control that early on, because my mom worked in my preschool and my dad was a bus driver.
Oh, wow.
That just dawned on me.
Yeah.
Right? And so my dad was literally the bus driver. I don't know. Dad, why were you a bus driver?
Yeah.
And then my mom worked in the preschool, but then after that, it was on to the races, right? It was just like letting him kind of do his thing. And so I think they were probably tuned in with the teachers. I know when I moved and they got me into first grade, they did a deep analyzation of the school system, right? Like, meeting the teachers, and this is who Nick is and how you guys are going to treat, like, how are you going to serve him and put him in regular classes, all the different things. So they were really, like, I guess, analytical when it came to like where they placed me. But also, I think there was a part of them where just like, it's going to happen. Like,
but still like, like right now, so for example, when I grew up in primary school, which is first school or whatever, and thinking, I was best friends with a girl called Leanne who had Down syndrome, right? And like, I was always on alert. Like, for some reason, I don't know, for some reason I thought I was her protector. Always on alert, like ready to scrap everyone that did it. And even if there weren't, I was just ready. I had this thing where I felt like I needed to, kind of thing. Where you didn't have that, and even though your parents had gone and done the rounds with the school, again, we go back to children can be cunts, bro.
Yeah.
So they might be been able to hook up the teachers. Okay, we're all on the same page, but you just get that. And I don't know why it is, because children are so beautiful. I don't know what age sometimes what ages did you find the difference where they started to become mean or say things that you actually were like, hold on a minute, what?
Yeah, bro. I think it'd be middle school.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is how old?
Which is what is that? 13.
Okay.
13, 14.
So before that was kind of okay.
I think, yeah, bro. I think before that, like you said, it's based off purity and curiosity.
Yeah.
Which, when you're a kid, you take that curiosity as like an insult, right? Because you don't know how to manage it, or you don't know how to handle it. And then when I think you get to middle school, you realize it's not just curiosity; it's like bullying.
Yeah.
But you don't know this as a kid, but you realize like most kids are just hurting inside. Yeah. Hurt people, yeah. Right? So they're just projecting their stuff onto you. But I think it's probably middle school and high school where they become.
You can say it. He's like, I have a call with Abu Dhabi tomorrow. I cannot.
I'm pretty calculated, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's when they become little savages.
Yeah.
But I just think they're hurt. For example, bro, like there's an incident where I was like 13. I was on a school bus, and there was a girl to the left of me, and she was making fun of everyone. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go, right? And she looked me in my eyes, and she's like, I don't even have to start with you, Nick. You're already too screwed up anyway. Look at you. And I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know how to handle that. And because of that, I developed a lot of beliefs about myself and what I was capable of. And it wasn't until years later when I realized, like, when I learned the big C word, not the one you use, but compassion, the word compassion, realizing like, wow, that little girl must have been hurting so bad in her personal life that she had to take it out on a kid with no legs of an arm. Like, I wish I can go hug her, like, God bless her. Yeah. Right. But you don't know that in the time. Right. And so to go back to my parents, and I'm going to be direct here, I don't know if they had the right tools or emotional bandwidth to work through it with me. Now that I think about it, I don't think there was many conversations where it was like, Nick, what are you feeling? Let's work through this. To be honest, I didn't have conversations like that with my parents.
Do you think that's because they were so caught up trying to do the other stuff? Or do you think that because I understand what you're saying. Yeah. My mother is not, I mean, God bless her, she did everything for us, but she's not your typical, my son, I love you, and this, and emotional. She was because my dad passed away when I was 2. So my mom was my mom, my dad, everyone in one. So she didn't have the opportunity to just be that nice, happy-go-lucky mum, right? So she had to take on all the roles. So I didn't get that kind of what you're saying, deep, emotional kind of teaching and knowledge, and you can talk about this or how you do. It's just kind of like, you're alive, okay, good, I'm doing a good job. Yeah, like you came back home and that's it. I'm all right. Yeah. So do you think it's a mixture of both, because they had so much on their plate with trying to make everything?
I think it's a few things now that I think about it. I think the first thing, just directly lack of awareness, and that's not their fault, right? It's just like they only know what they know. And it's like, we can dive into a deep rabbit hole of like how they were raised and what they got and what they didn't get. I think it was just a lack of awareness and lack of tools, right? I think the other thing was, and I don't know where I picked it up from, probably just family, is that I didn't want to share my stuff because I didn't want to feel like a burden. Yeah. And so like suicidal thoughts or being depressed or not feeling good in my skin, I rarely shared it, bro. Like my sisters didn't even know I had suicidal thoughts until they heard a podcast of me as an adult.
How old were you when you were having these thoughts?
I was probably 15, 16.
Wow.
Right? I mean, like even when that girl made fun of me, I developed the belief that like girls don't like me, right? And based off our beliefs, we're going to find the evidence to prove that, right? So I would find or create the evidence that girls didn't like me. So I didn't go to my proms. I didn't go to my dances. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go to any of that because I just felt like I was disgusting. Wow. Right. I would cry in the shower so no one could see it. Bro, I hid. Like I literally, I didn't want to be a burden to my family. And so it could be a lack of awareness on their side, but also on my side of like not feeling safe or not feeling like it's the right time to communicate those feelings. So I just soothed it, right? Go play video games or just stay in my room or hide. And they didn't know. And to their defense, they didn't know what I was going through. I didn't express it. And then somewhere along the line, Nick got really vulnerable. I guess it's through speaking, right? He just kept speaking. And I realized that all the healing was done in the feeling. I always tell my students, in order to heal it, you have to feel it. And for a long time, I didn't feel it. And so the more that I could talk about it and be vulnerable about it and share my struggles, the more that I was able to heal. But a lot of it, to be honest, like my parents learned a lot about me through my interviews because I never shared it with them. They're going to watch this one too.
Yeah.
Watch all of them.
Oh, I wish I didn't say that word so many times now in this.
No, you're good.
Because I'm British and we have a weird sense of humor.
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah.
But that's a great question. But I think like shout out for the people that are watching this right now. Oftentimes we can hold so much anger or resentment. Like my parents didn't do this for me. They didn't do that for me. The truth is your parents did the best they could with what they knew and their programming.
Yeah.
And their programming was passed down from their parents and their parents. Like they only know what they know. And my intention is to be the one in the bloodline that changes everything.
It's always up to. I was having a conversation with my brother about this, literally the other day, and like I don't hit my kids. I don't like. Everything is different. Like I broke the cycle. I used to get beats when I was growing up, which is fine. I don't feel like it affected me or anything like that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
He's gonna call me late, and you're gonna call me
I'm gonna
later.
call you. We're just gonna cry tonight. I don't think it did. I think because it was just the culture. I'm actually quite old. Like I'm 42, so the 80s it was normal. Everyone was getting licks, belt, switch, whatever.
Spoons.
So it wasn't like I was the one getting hit from all of my friends, and they weren't. We all knew when we were coming home late, we're all getting messed up. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think that's why it was right. But now when I look at it, I couldn't hit my kids. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're not going to learn from it. Kind of, I do have that sometimes where I'm like, man, I must have been cute. I mean, I broke my nose 4 or 5 times growing up and got ugly, but when I was a kid, I've seen some pictures, I was cute. Like, how could you hit that cute little kid? And I say this, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, oh, these kids frustrate the shit out of me. They make me so angry sometimes. And I'm like, bro, they're 6. They're 6. 2 of those years, they didn't even start walking yet. 3 of those years, they didn't know how to talk. So really, they're 2. Like from after they've figured out that stuff, and you're expecting them to know all this stuff to you is basic. You're 40 and still haven't figured it out. You're still doing dumb shit. Yeah. And you're expecting this 2-year-old to know, to get everything right. And it's like, nah, man. Like, you need to be patient with these kids. Like, let them figure it out.
For sure. Compassion.
Yeah,
the big C word,
right? Yeah,
the big C word. Compassion.
After you live here for a while, your big words will change. But yeah, like I had to be just so aware, and they just taught me so much in these 7 years about compassion, about patience. Just so many times I catch myself, and I guess it's a good thing that I'm constantly striving to be aware of this stuff. And I even, some of my friends, Arab men kind of thing, where I'm like, oh, you should read this Dr. Shafadi book. It's really good. It's about, parenting and words of affirmation and all that stuff. And they're just like, bro, like, are you the mum or are you the dad? And I'm like, no, like I need to know this stuff. I need to educate myself on different ways. So if anything, if I know 100 ways, I can at least choose one of them and not just know one way that my parents did it from 1972 when, everything was different. Yeah. Kind of thing. So yeah, it's a weird one. It's a very emotional thing being a parent.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, right?
Yeah, you'll get there.
But yeah, I totally agree. Just I'm big on breaking the cycle. Yeah. And I'm glad that you were the one, right?
Yeah.
It's like you get to analyze the way that you were brought up, and you can say I like this, and I don't like this.
And you have such a great head start as well on parenting, actually, just by what you do.
Yeah. just, yeah, I mean, working with people, learning new things, but just being a student of the game of everything, and realizing, like I said, what you like and what you don't like, or how you do things or how you don't do things, or even to the things of like analyzing your relationship with money and where those beliefs around money, like, right, you know, getting nerdy into the brain, but most of our beliefs and our model of the world was cultivated between 0 and 10 when 100%. Our brain was in theta state, right? You know, your mom says dog and you're like dog, and then your mom says cat and you're like cat, and then your mom says we can't afford that and you're like we can't afford that. And 100%. So you create your model of the world based off your upbringing. And so
100%,
bro. So during your adult life, or when you get curious, you can start to see, like, how did I learn that? Where did I pick that up?
Where did it stem from? Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Bro, I have a funny story that I tell people. Was I was on a road trip with my dad. I was driving in Kansas, and for those that don't know Kansas, just middle of nowhere and cows, right? I saw a cow pasture, and there was white cows and brown cows, and I'm hitting my dad. Look, a chocolate milk cow. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, look, a chocolate milk cow. That's where chocolate milk comes from, the brown cows. And he starts laughing, and he's like, where did you learn that? And I was like, oh no, someone told me it one day. And I tell people, most of your beliefs aren't yours. You picked them up from someone else.
100%.
Someone told you something, you started to believe it, and that was it. And so our job as, adults or mini adults going into adulthood is to question everything and see how you can do it in a more sustainable, empowering way.
It's so weird, right? Because if you really think about it, you need to start parenting yourself first. And then
let's go here. Yeah.
And then parenting. And it's funny that you should say that, because we used to be multimillionaires, out of money, right? And my dad used to be into stocks and all of that stuff. So he lost all of his money, all of our money, and had a heart attack and died. And my mum had to start from the beginning. Wow. That's why we went to the UK and all that stuff. And I was talking to my wife, and I've always been really shit with money, dude. Just like, no, let's just do stuff with it. Forget about saving, because you never know, blah, blah, blah. And then it only hit me, wow, did I get that from the fear because my father lost the money and died, that life's too short, spend it, kind of thing, without realizing that I put this inside. Yeah. That, like, whenever I'd get money, I'd want to get rid of it. It's like I saw it as a bad thing because I subconsciously associated it with death. Yeah. Right? And when I realized that, I mean, I'm still shit with money, I'm better. But like when I realized that, I was like, wow, that's just been sitting there for years, and I never put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. That's wild. It's unconscious. Just pick it up unconsciously.
Like, to me, money was death. How weird is that?
Yeah.
So whenever I got it, I would just be like, let's do something. Let's go here. Let's go on holiday. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I just didn't want it near me.
Yeah. So
I didn't think of it like that. I didn't think there was no association with it. I didn't realize, I don't want it near me. That was only the epiphany that I had after connecting the dots. That's why I was doing it. Isn't that strange how the mind...
What do you do now with it?
Spend it on better things. No, for now it's just family. Yeah. Family and kids. Everything is I would much rather buy something for the kids, or save for the kids, or build something for the kids than myself. I don't care. I'm done now, man. Yeah. I'm finished. I don't need anything. I don't, like, all my joy is from my family, from my wife and kids. Yeah. Nothing else. Like, you can't impress me. Yeah. I mean, I say that having gold mics, but sure, make them for me for free, so like, kind of thing. Yeah, you can't impress me. I don't care what watch you have. I don't care what car you have. I don't care how big your villa is. I don't get. You can't. It's your character, the person you are, the friendship I have with you, how I see you treat others. That's how you can impress me. But having, like, honestly, my brother is so into cars. He changes his car every, like, 3 months. Oh, I'm just like, when you're inside the car, like, who sees the Lamborghini? Not the driver. It's the people outside, bro. They're benefiting more than he is. Yeah, he gets a good drive, but after 2 days, it's the same shit. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, who are you buying these things for? It's for other people. It's not for you. Because, like you said, if I said to you right now, yo, wouldn't it be dope if we got matching pink G-Wagons? He'd be like, yeah, that would be kind of funny, actually. I guarantee you, the second we drive it out of that showroom, we'll see pink G-Wagons everywhere. Because now it's in your mind's eye. Now you're aware of it.
Yep.
Now it's in your system, in your closed little bubble.
Yep.
You're seeing them everywhere. You're like, oh shit, I thought we were the only two wearing, you know, G-Wagons.
Yep.
And pink.
Yep.
But they'll be everywhere.
Yep. It's the nerdy RAS, they call it, reticular activating system.
There you go.
Right? It's like once you want something, you see it everywhere. Right? What you focus on, you get more of. Right? I was just same thing. The Porsche GT3 RS.
Yeah.
It's like, I want one of those. Get to Dubai, I'm like,
they're everywhere.
GT3 RS is everywhere. I'm like, still want one, but that's pretty cool, right? They're everywhere. But even going back to your money beliefs too, it's like, for example, like I was watching my parents work. I was taught that, you know, the harder you work, the more money you make, which isn't true.
Yeah.
The harder you work, the more tired you are, right? So I always tell my students, it's like the higher you work, the more money you make. It's not the harder you work, or the other. The higher you work.
So on drugs.
no, more value, more intention.
All
right?
of the students are just microdosing mushrooms and getting rich.
But like, or the same thing is like, time is money. You know, time is infinitely more valuable than money.
100%.
Time is infinitely more. So whoever told you that time is money didn't have time and they ain't got money.
Yeah.
Right? But that was a belief that kept them stuck, right? Or money doesn't grow on trees.
You have not been to Dubai.
Baby, have you come to Dubai? Yeah. It's everywhere, right? And so you're right. It's like most people have unconscious money beliefs, or beliefs about relationships. The same thing. It's like you're grown up and say your parents have a specific relationship. You don't realize that unconsciously has a fear in the way that you navigate with women.
Yeah.
Right? Everything, bro. It's all passed down, and it's our job to like question everything and break it.
And parent yourself, literally teach yourself.
Yeah. And that's what I love what you said is like oftentimes you have to build yourself into the man that little boy needed. You have to love yourself in ways that little boy needed to be loved. You need to support and grow in ways that little boy needed to be supported. And also though, going back to the parent thing is having compassion and realizing first thing is this is mom's first time doing life too.
100%.
It's her first time doing life too.
Not just first time doing life, first time being a parent as well. So while that kid's figuring shit out, you're figuring out how they're figuring out for you to figure shit out like at the same time.
When you look around, you're like, no one has any idea what's going on, right? So that gives them a level of compassion. Then also, you know, even looking at your parents as adults, if they're alive or whoever it is I try to view when I talk to my parents or talk to adults that it's still a little boy in there. There's still a little girl in there. It's still a little girl that's hurt. It's still a little boy that's hurt. Maybe didn't feel loved, didn't know how to be loved, didn't know how to express love, didn't know how to communicate. And it gives you a sense of a compassion and understanding when you talk to people who may be still stuck. It's like, that's a little boy in there. That's a little girl in there. And that's their first time doing life too.
It's crazy. And it's so obvious as well. It's because I see that sometimes. So I'm a bit over the top with my kids when it comes to love. Like 150 times a day, I'm telling them I love them. And I'm not saying that to be whatever, but the point I'm making is sometimes when their friends are over, so I'll do random things where they'll be chilling together and I'll run and I'll just pick one of them up and I'll wrestle him to the ground and I'll kiss him and hug him. And I remember seeing their friend, he felt awkward. And it wasn't because I was doing something weird. It was because I was doing something he doesn't get. Yeah. And I could really feel it. That he was looking like, like what's this? That looks nice. Kind of thing. And that kind of breaks my heart. It's like, I just wish every kid has that.
Yeah. It's a tough one. But I think hard, huh? I think all of it can be used and leveraged eventually as an adult. You know, I feel like, for example, for me, I feel like I built big things because I was insecure. You know, it's like, oh, if I built big companies and I, you know, got this great body, build big cool things and have followers, you know, that I'll be loved. And so
it's like the blue tick, right? Remember when you were waiting for that blue tick and then you got that blue tick and you're like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah.
After a day, that didn't even matter. You didn't notice it.
So, yeah. So I think ultimately, like, kids are gonna get hurt and they're gonna have trauma. It's like you can do all you can, but you can't do everything. And I think the best thing is if they leverage it and find the gift and find the learning in it. And the truth is sometimes they won't find the gift and they won't find the learning. But all of the things that are happening for us have a gift and have a learning. It's up for us to find it, right? And so because of that kid not getting the love or maybe seeing it, who knows, he'll probably love his children too.
I mean, I think that's why I'm like that, because
exactly
I didn't want to not be, because this is another thing, like you were saying. So I grew up, my mum remarried when I was about 10, around that age. So I mean, I've never spoken to my mum about this or anything, but like I needed that. Like even though I didn't show it, or I didn't be like, oh, where's my dad? I mean, I knew the situation, but when I think back at it, there were so many times where I just needed a man around and it wasn't there. So I had to kind of figure it out by myself. And yeah, sometimes it was through rebelling, and sometimes it was through doing dumb shit for attention. But I think that's my fire for just being there for my kids and just giving them every ounce of what they need. Is again coming back to that, I couldn't say it because saying it wouldn't have brought a dad anyway. It wouldn't have made a difference, kind of thing. And even explaining that to her, she couldn't have been the man, right? Kind of thing. So you kind of look for that in outside, and I guess this happens a lot in gang culture in America and other countries, where these kids, that the only way they can find this male role model is through these gangs and stuff, because they have the older lot and the elders and stuff, and to them, even though they know what they're doing isn't right, they're getting that whole field from that side of it, right?
It's essentially right. They're meeting a need, right? All the things that we do is to meet a need, whether it's like significance or certainty or comfort, right? And so they get something that they weren't getting, right? And what's interesting too is, it's like we can even look back and be like, well, when parents say like, or kids say like, my parents didn't love me or they didn't support me. The truth is, they supported you, but not in the ways that you wanted to receive it. Right? And so the brain distorts it and then creates a belief that like, my parents never supported me, but they did it in ways that they did it, but maybe it wasn't the way that you want to receive it. For example, like people could be like, my parents, they don't love me like that kid over there. When in reality, like your parents' only way that they knew how to support you was to yell. To yell or to work those long hours and never see you, and because if not, then you're all messed up. Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's where the breakthroughs and the evolution happens, when you like start to analyze them. Like, what were they doing? And that was the only way they knew how to support. That's the only way they knew how to express. That's the only way they knew how to love. But it's like when our brain distorts and deletes stuff and creates beliefs. And so it's like, even me, it's like I could be like, oh, my parents didn't support me in this one way, but they did all these other things that I forgot about, or I don't want to think about, because then it'll prove that I'm wrong, And so it's the human experience is interesting. It's the same reason why you can have siblings and they all have a different perception of childhood. Right? Or it's like the story of like have the same parents and the same upbringing, but one becomes an addict and one becomes an entrepreneur. It's like you had the same upbringing, but they just went different ways. It's interesting. Right? So interesting, right? The human experience is a trip. So why do you microdose your students then, if it's already a trip? I never said I did that. I never said I did that. All right, let's talk about cutting off your arm. Great. That's the last one I'm cutting off. Right? I knew this one. That's an interesting one as well. What a segue. I just thought like I'd just throw it, just shock them in case they were getting too comfortable with the parenting. Talk about it. Yeah, man. So for those that are watching or listening, I have a right arm. It's a shorter arm, and it was 5 inches longer than it is now. And my bone was going faster than my skin, so it was very sensitive. I couldn't really do physical activities with it. So it was like did pointy. You have the elbow and a bit more, or was it just still before the elbow? No, it was before the elbow, but it was very pointy, right? And the pain of not being loved by girls and not getting a girlfriend. This is a big, massive driver. I don't know about any other men. I'm probably the only one, right? Just kidding.
100%. 100%. It's
just
all
you,
that,
Nick, right?
It's all that matters, bro.
So the pain of not getting into relationships or having girls love me or, you know, girlfriends, whatever it is, that pain pushed me to, I guess, become a savage or evolve, right? Yeah. It was like, I want a girl, so what do I need to do to get a girl, right? I can't change the no legs with arm, but I can get jacked, or I could become a wrestler. And so I wanted to become a wrestler. My older brother was a wrestler. All my best friends are wrestlers. And the only thing that was holding me back was my arm. And so I came home and I sat both my parents down. I was like, can we cut this thing off? And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I want to become a wrestler. I can't do it because of the arm. Is there any surgery or amputation that we could do to figure this out? And they were like, do you really want to do it? And I was like, 100%. And so my sophomore year of high school, which I was like 16 years old, they scheduled the appointment for the doctors to amputate the arm so I could become a wrestler. And by the way, the reason why they were so supportive of it, because when I was born, like I told you, the doctors wanted to do so many things. They either wanted to, you know, not have me, they wanted to institutionalize me, they wanted to chop my finger off, they wanted to do a bunch of things to me. And my parents always said no, because it's not Nick's choice, and that's not fair. So the moment that I offered a solution and it was out of my voice, they were all for it, right? So that's why my parents agreed for me to cut my arm off. And so, you know, they amputated my arm, and then I went out and I was able to become a wrestler. And that really changed my life.
You're a nutcase, bro.
yeah, right?
I love it,
everybody's
bro.
crazy until it happens, right?
Yeah.
And so I always say I was the happiest kid that just cut his arm off. I go back to school. People were like, what'd you do? I'm like, I cut my arm off, you know? And they were like, why? And I was like, well, I'm going to become a wrestler. And there was like a percentage of people that laughed, and then there was a percentage of people that supported. And I joined the wrestling team at 17 years old, and that gave me a sense of community. It gave me a sense of a new identity. I became an athlete, and yeah, just evolved my life. But it was a physical sport. It was a mental sport. I also believe that wrestling, jiu-jitsu is like the greatest thing that you can 100%. Do, because it cultivates you. And I got destroyed. Yeah. I got destroyed, I think, you know, in the 2 years.
You didn't, though. Maybe physically, but you champed out, bro.
Yeah.
Like the hardest, like I always say, the hardest belt in jiu-jitsu or in any martial art is the white belt. Because once so many people just give up and they don't move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And it's not that, it's just that one that if you can just stay there and continue and be consistent, that's the most important belt. It's not the black belt, it's the white one, because that's the one under all the pressure and all the same shit. Like, don't get me wrong. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 42 years now, because that's what life is. It's just a different version of it.
Business, right?
Like, it's a different version of it. You're going to get mashed up. You're going to get choked out. You're going to get all that stuff just in life kind of thing. But yeah, you, again, like you might be like, yeah, I got fucking mashed up, but your brain, dude, what you built inside you, you can't buy that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't pay for it.
Yeah.
Invaluable. And not just that, you didn't get mashed up once. How long did you wrestle for?
2 years.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there are so many people with arms, with legs, who wrestled for a month and thought, fuck this shit, bro. I ain't tapped anyone out. I ain't fucking done anything. That's enough for me, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
And they quit.
Yeah.
You did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to your... Like, they need to get your brain scanned after. Like,
let's go.
After you die, just put it in a jar and let them just work on it, because you got something in you that not a lot of people have.
You got that dog in me.
Yeah, you got that dog in you, literally. Like,
yeah, bro. I was 2 and 17.
Wow.
Like my senior year, you know, my junior year I was JV, but you know, got my butt kicked, and then senior year I was 2 and 17, and yeah, most of the matches I would just get destroyed.
So you won 2 though.
I won 2.
Oh, those
and
guys.
I knew they were legit.
Those guys must have been like,
they probably have trauma.
It's time for me to quit now, bro. Fuck this.
They're probably some of my clients. I'm like helping them heal.
Yeah, right. They're just like, oh shit, I was doing so well
until that guy totally destroyed their identity. No, but yeah, 2 and 17, but a few things, right? Like the first thing was it gave me a sense of community, right? Like having solid community, right? Of boys that were, you know, all in for me. And you know, all in for the group, and just elevating you that way. And then also, like you said, the mindset, being willing to just push yourself physically and mentally. And well, you know, there was times where I'm crying and crying in practice, and you know, bro, they would put me in my whole message when I got into wrestling was like, don't hold back on me. And they were all my buddies like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Remember what you told me?
Don't be a dick though. Like,
but there would be a drill. They called it shark.
Yeah.
It was a shark drill where like, you know, it would be a couple weight classes that were nearby, and then you would go in the middle, and you can't get out of the circle until you got 5 takedowns.
Yeah.
Well, guess who didn't get the damn takedowns? The guy with no legs, one arm. I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, bro, it's been 30 minutes. Can someone let me get a single leg in here? Can someone let me get taken down? And they wouldn't. And I would literally be the shark in the middle, and they would destroy me for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, nonstop. They're like, remember what you told us in the beginning? It's like, don't hold back on me. And then they maybe give me a takedown here and there because they saw me. I was like 30 minutes in.
They're like, he's dying now.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's not breathing.
There's
right?
cardio and there's that. And that's not good right now. He's literally dying.
But it cultivated me. And like you said, that like in business and in life, most people aren't willing to suck long enough to be great at something. And I can assure you that if you can just withstand the season of suck, you'll be better than most people.
Yeah.
In communicating, in selling, in keynote speaking, in marketing, and podcasting, is like if you could just go through the season of suck, you will be way better than most people.
100%. And also, again, the why is really important. A lot of people they're driving on a full tank, but they don't have a destination, so it doesn't even make sense to drive because you're just driving around in circles. Eventually, you're going to run out of petrol, and you're going to be in the middle of nowhere.
If you live in Dubai, you just call them on your phone.
You just call Cafu and they come and fill up. But yeah, a lot of people, they don't have the why, the beginning or the end. They're just driving around in the middle, just trying to figure stuff out. And it's like, well, if you don't have that in your mind, that end goal or whatever, at least I don't ever believe there's an end goal. And again, things changed in my life. Not money, not anything. I don't measure my success on this or anything. My success is measured on how I am as a family man, as a father, and as a husband. I've decided that's all that matters to me in life. Obviously, I don't want us to be homeless and stuff, so we need to do other stuff. But I don't base my success on having a business with, 20 employees and all that stuff. You guys figure out for yourself and your own families, man. That's how I measure it. And I got to that point where I'm like, don't know if it's because I'm getting old and I'm like, I need to start relaxing, but I'm not interested in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It could be a bad thing, but for me, it's like, I'm done, man. And it gives me more goal because it's for something I love, right? With every ounce of my being. So I'm not going to get bored of doing it, and I'm not going to stop doing it because I have to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think it went, what year was that? Where
that I decided that
you shift your success rules or the way that you viewed it.
I shifted other things as well when we were talking about money. So I can't remember where I read something or I saw something that changed my perspective on things, and I started measuring the price of things against time. So I was like, that pair of shoes is going to cost me 3 hours of work, or that car is going to cost me 4 months of work, or 5 years of work. Is it worth it? Would I trade that much of my time for this? Is this item worth that much of my time? And 9 times out of 10, it's no. The answer. Right?
Yeah. That's a big shift.
Yeah.
I think I'm not there yet. In the sense of like you're a family man, right? So you base your success off that. And I think even me still, right?
Yeah.
Like being vulnerable is like a lot of my success is like, how big's the business and how much money's coming in, right? And I'm sure there'll be an evolution. And I think that's a scary road to be on. No,
but again, there is no right, wrong, or this is my thing that I found, and I'm just content with and happy. You might be my brother. He's the opposite. Doesn't do a relationship for more than 2 weeks. Like, isn't interested in having kids. He's like, why would I have kids? And he's older than me. He's 10 years older than me, 8 years older than me. He's like, why would I have kids? I just hang around with yours, and when I'm bored, I go home and I'm cool.
He rents them.
Yeah. He literally like cool uncle kind of thing. Yeah. So everything is not for everyone.
Yeah.
But you kind of need to find out what is for you, because it is fleeting.
Yeah.
Life and stuff,
For sure.
So
yeah, and going back to like the destination or the why, you're so right. It's so important to have something that's deeper than the money, right? I think we can see a lot of people come and go because their why wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
It wasn't that deep and meaningful. You know, for me, even right now in this moment is to get my parents out and get them over here or take care of them, right? To spoil my family, to give them experiences, to take them places. Like, that's my deep, meaningful reason that gets me out of bed, because let's be honest, especially as a man with no legs and an arm, there's not a lot of times where I want to jump out of bed, right? And then everything's great. You know, it's not always like that, but I have
Do you still have that now? What would you say the percentage is between, let's just split your life into 4?
Yeah.
You know, the first 4, second quarter, third quarter, now this being the fourth quarter. What's the differences in percentages of how you see yourself and how much power you give to these emotions?
What do you mean?
Meaning, first quarter is first 6, 7 years of your life. Second is thingy. So when you say stuff like, you know, sometimes I feel like there's not much to live for, or sometimes I feel not confident, and sometimes I feel, how much of that is changed in those periods?
With those
am I making any sense? Yeah. You're like, I've only been in Dubai for 4 days. I don't speak Arabic yet, my friend. Say it in English.
You speak English? Yeah. I think in this quarter, right? Talking about like this,
the difference between the quarters. So
of those emotions, right? I think it depends on like the emotional intelligence. I think earlier on in the earlier quarters, like those definitely like overwhelmed my life. Those suffering emotions or those negative emotions really like dictated how I feel, and they would last longer, right? Like those emotions would last longer. Now, like I know too much, right? I know too much about the brain. I know too much about physiology and state of what it does. I know too much about what specific emotions do to your vibration. And so, you know, maybe early on it would be, you know, shitty days, and now it's shitty minutes. Right. And that's a big, by the way, like if you can get to the point where you have shitty minutes, not shitty days, like life will totally be different. So now in this quarter, if I'm feeling a specific emotion, I go back to the kid, you know, like the little kid, and I get curious of like, what did I do to self-induce this emotion? Because the truth is, whatever emotions that we're feeling, we've created them based on what we focused on, based on what we're thinking, or based on what we've created in our brain, right? So for example, like even in relationships, it's like if I'm feeling insecure, what did I just create in my brain that made me feel insecure in the moment? Or what did she say that I misinterpreted and makes me feel less than? Or why am I not feeling confident? What am I focusing on that I don't have versus what I do have, right? So all of our emotions are self-induced. So now in this moment, everybody has negative emotions. Everybody has positive emotions, right? You feel joy, you feel insecurity, you feel happy, you feel ungrateful. We all have that. But the real test is, the question isn't, am I going to go to a negative emotion? The question is, how long am I going to stay there?
Yeah.
Because we all have them. And so now at this quarter of my life, I just get curious on where the emotion came from. And then I can identify things and I can be more aware and break out of them.
And just face the demon.
Just fix it. And then sometimes maybe I'm stuck and I need to call you
after
the podcast and cry, or you can breathe life into me, right? And so we have the tools. But also what's really interesting about personal development, the work that we do, or the trainings, is you really only get to use tools when things don't go your way. And so the moments where you feel insecure, the moments where business doesn't go your way, the moment where you get rejected by a girl, those are the best moments, because now you have an opportunity to work. Yeah. But if everything's sunshine and rainbows, you get bored.
I don't think anyone will ever experience sunshine and rainbows all the time. There's no such thing. I mean, whether you believe in God or not, life is built in such a way that even if you've had everything handed down to you, your mother's going to die. Your father's going to die. I mean, hopefully not young or whatever, but you might lose a child. There's always something that's going to ground you and make you think of, do you know what I mean? No one has ever had that perfect. I don't believe that anyone from the history of time has had a perfect life. I don't believe it. Even if you've had all the money in the world and all the riches and all the good stuff.
No way. I think.
And that's what's good about it, I think.
It's the contrast.
Yeah.
That gives us life, right? I think, let's just say we were little souls before we came into our bodies, and they're like, where do you want to go? And they're like, we're going to take you to Earth. And they're like, what's Earth? And they're like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get cheated on. Yeah. You're going to get rejected. You're going to get smacked in the face. You're going to get beat up. You're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel all of it. And you're like, yeah. And then you get here and you forget. You're like, why am I feeling this? It's like, you signed up for this.
Right.
You signed up for this, right? And so I totally agree. It's like, what makes the human experience is you get to feel everything.
Everything, right?
Everything. The ups, the downs. And if everything was sunshine and rainbows, we get bored and we want to go to the next planet or the next human or the next thing.
You're like,
right?
this one is checked out.
I'm good, right? And so I think that's just a good reminder for everybody is when you're the only reason why you love to be happy is because you know what feeling sad feels like.
Exactly. It's just that if you didn't have the contrast, you wouldn't even understand. You wouldn't have any emotions.
That's it. That's it. And so and I also tell people too is like, maybe you're listening to this podcast right now and maybe you feel lost. Enjoy the feeling of loss. Enjoy the season of loss, because on the other side of loss is found. All the seasons are beautiful. There's a reason for every season. And that's why we're here.
It's a nice t-shirt. I think we should get into a t-shirt printing business. All the seasons.
Someone right now is buying it. They're like, right. They're gonna sell it back to me. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing, and I think the contrast is what makes it so unique.
100%. Let's talk about your first relationship.
Great.
I just want to, like, I feel like it's really weird because I watched the video of you doing the interview when you were a kid on that TV show, and it, showed you on the skateboard and playing baseball and all that stuff. And again, I can't separate the child from the adult in my head sometimes, because I just feel like I'm a child. Like, I felt like I was your homie. Like, so even now when I'm talking to you, I feel like I remember you when you were that age. So I'm like so hyped to hear your first experience. Do you know, does that make any sense? I'm so like, tell me about the first girl, bro. Like, how haps were you? Like, how?
Yeah. So for like, okay, because I didn't commit to a girl until my first real relationship, which was the 5-year one. I think I was just without legs running around doing my thing, so that relates to the 5-year.
I mean, your first interaction where
okay, great. Yeah, I'll go back. Yeah, so it was high school. High school, my first real relationship, and it changed my life. And the reason why it changed my life is because it gave me evidence that I was lovable. It gave me evidence that I can still do it. Like, I could still have, like, someone still sees something in me. I'm lovable and I'm enough, right? I'm looking for validation in the external world. And so my first relationship was really like, she was my homie, and then it turned into like a relationship, and then we loved each other, and we were so young too. Shout out to you. I don't know if you're probably not watching this, but it gave me evidence. And I just want to like touch on this real quickly, is that's what we're all searching for. People are searching for evidence that their product's enough. You're searching for evidence that you're a good enough father. You do it all. We search for evidence. You're searching for evidence that you're a good husband. You're searching for evidence that you're a good brother, a good friend. And for me, my first little relationship in high school was evidence, and it changed my whole entire life because I knew I could do it. And once you experience evidence that you could do it, your whole entire life changes, right? That goes back to like, you got to suck long enough until you get your first yes, whether that's a business deal or a girl saying yes to you, and then you're like, I can do it. And so for me, it gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of butterflies and all the things, and also I think it inspired my homies around me that maybe didn't get women or get girls. They're like, yo, if he could do it, like, this shit. They're like, if he can do it, there's definitely something wrong with me.
We're just being lazy at this point.
But I remember just like even in between classes, like her, like, or before getting on the bus, like kissing me in the hallway, and my guys are like, my dude, like he did it, like homie did it, and so it was life-changing for me. But if I could just wrap it up into one word, it's evidence. And it totally changed my life, and it showed me that it was possible, right? And so that's what but it was short-lived. Like we dated for a couple months, and then I think I ran away. I was like, I don't want this, and I want to experience more things, and we broke up.
You got greedy.
More. I want more.
You're like, I have already proved myself. I need to prove nothing to nobody else. Bring the ladies.
On to the next, right? But it was life-changing for me. And I will say this, for the people that are watching this, men or women, whatever it is, one of the greatest things that changed my whole the arena of relationships, and I still have to reinforce this for me, is realizing that it's an energy thing. one of the greatest compliments that I've got was people saying, bro, I totally forget you have no legs of an arm.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the aura or the presence is so strong that they forget. It dissolves.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with chicks. One of the greatest compliments I got from a chick is I spoke at an event, and I got off stage, and I was talking to her, and she was attractive, and I got some game. So I'm like, how tall are you? And she's like, oh, I'm this tall. And I was like, how you want to guess how tall I am? And I'm like, I'm 3'5". And she looked at me, she said, Nick, you may be 3'5", but you're the tallest man in the room right now. I said, ooh, talk to me more like that. I like that. But it was, that's energy. Yeah. That's presence. That's aura. Right. And so when you're certain, when you're confident, regardless of what you look like, you have a specific aura, and the physical tends to disappear.
I 100% agree with you. My wife had to wear flats at our wedding. She's much taller than me.
Yeah. Welcome to the club,
100%, bro. Yeah.
So it's just an energy and aura thing, and that's why, to shout out to all the men. It's like, bro, it's work on yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Work on yourself until you feel enough, and be an offering to the world. And when you have a man who is super dedicated to his mission and his growth, you realize that you attract the right one anyway.
100%.
Like I always say,
women can smell that shit.
So boys seek, men attract.
Yeah.
Right. Boys are looking for things, and it's just like men attract by their aura and just their mission and their integrity. Yeah. And even here, by the way, like maybe this is an advertisement, but it's like I came here to Dubai, and I was like, I'm not looking for a chick. Yeah, they're gonna find me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here. They're going to know my presence is here. They're going to see, we talked about, they're going to see me at an event. They're going to experience my authentic self, and they're going to like, I want that guy. Right. So I don't need to go out looking. They're going to find me.
They're going to find
I'm here, by the way.
Ah, man. I got so many questions, bro. I'm just trying to figure out the order in my head.
No problem.
Of carrying them. So when was the first time where you realized, I'm going to change people? No, I'm going to go back. Certain words are used to describe people, and they've changed over time. Disability, disabled, people of determination. Do you buy into all that, or does it affect you? Or how do people make mistakes where you're just like, no, don't say that kind of thing? Yeah. And how do you, because again, it's a touchy subject, because a lot of people won't know what to say. Like, they won't know what the correct term is. Like, I have a lot of friends, and again, even me myself, the last one I heard was people of determination. To me, they're my friends, so I just don't even, it's not even coming up to a conversation. But when I first meet them, I'm like, did I say the right thing? Or did I say, normal? No, I didn't mean normal. I mean, you know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean? How do you navigate that?
It's a great question. I think it depends on the level of someone's personal development, the way that they react to things, right? So what I mean by that is, early on, like, I would hate those words: trigger, handicapped, disabled, crippled, all the things, right? Those words would piss me off. And then you get to a point, if you do enough work, where you realize if something in the external world dictates how you feel internally, you're a slave to the world. You're a slave to the matrix, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so at this point, at my level of evolution or spiritual growth, is the language that you use is just a mirror of what your limitation is and not mine, right? And so when people are like, Nick, how's it feel to be disabled? I'm like, I'm in better shape than you.
I'm in better shape than you. And I can literally do a backflip right now.
I'm not, but I appreciate your concern for me, Yeah. And so, like, I have more compassion, but like I said, based on people's languages, it's more of a reflection of what their limitations are versus mine, right? And so I don't let it affect me. But I will say, one of the greatest things when I came to the Middle East and I came to Dubai, we were at the beach, and there was like the men's bathroom and the girls' bathroom, and then I was like, it was like, Ratmir, what is PODs? Like, what is that? And I think we like looked it up or something. It was like people of determination. I was like, that is so cool, because it's an empowering meaning. It's the meaning you attach to it, right? And so it made me feel welcomed. It made me feel safe. It made me feel inclusive. But it was a cool word. I'm like, people determinate. That's dope. Like I can get behind that. But if it was like disabled bathroom or handicapped bathroom, it's like, it's kind of like, I don't really like it. But the PODs was cool. So I think for me,
Also sounds like a good military name as well. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you don't know what it-
But I think it depends on the person's level of personal development, whether they get affected by the words or not. For me, you can call me whatever I want. It won't change my emotional state. But I like the way that the Middle East has done it, or at least Dubai with PODs. I like that. I like that meaning.
But how do you deal with other, so again, did you ever feel like, this is a weird question,
Great.
but then this whole podcast has been weird questions. Did you ever feel like you had to point out things or make a joke out of things to kind of break the ice? So I have friends.
Yeah.
So I have a friend. His name's Kevin Paul. He's a gold medalist swimmer in the Paralympics, and one of his hands is a lot smaller than the other. And he was like, I purposely go like that and shake hands with the one that's smaller, just to annoy people, kind of thing, just to make it a bit like weird. And like I was speaking to my previous guest before this, he was like 200 and something kilos, and he lost a whole person, like weight wise. And he was like, I used to make fat jokes and talk about going to the gym and fitness programs just so I could bring up the conversation before they do, kind of thing. So how does that work? Yeah.
So in the nerdy world of communication, which is my specialty, it's what we call a disarm. Not to be
just did it there. You see,
you see what I did there? Right? But a disarm, right? And I teach this to speakers or anyone who's communicating, is like, whatever you feel like your disadvantage is, put it out there first, so they can't use it on you, but it also creates a safe space, right? So for example, I tell people on stage, I'll be like, before I get to the life-changing information, if I don't tell you why I look like this, the whole time you're going to be wondering, was it a shark attack? Did I fall into a wood chipper? What is going on? And people laugh, right? And it immediately breaks the ice and creates a safe space. They know they can laugh. I can laugh. Self-deprecating humor, right? And so, it's called a disarm. But I think it's a great tool to break the ice and make things comfortable. 100%. I use jokes with girls. I use jokes with guys, whatever it is, because it just breaks the ice and it makes them feel safe. And when you're building relationships or networking, whatever it is, you want people to feel safe, and you also want to make them feel a little bit awkward and break their pattern, right? Get them out of their their robot, pattern. So I think it's a great tactic, and I just use it unconsciously. And I think humor makes the world go round. 100%, and it's a level of it gives a level of confidence and comfortability. So it's called a disarm, right? So for example, even if someone has a lot of notes and they can't memorize them, and they need an iPad when they speak, I'll tell my students, I'll be like, the first thing you do is say, guys, I have a ton of information. I want to over deliver for you. Would it be okay if I refer to my notes so you get the most out of today? Oh yes, great. Now what you thought was your disability was your iPad. Now is your advantage because you're over delivering for your clients. So it's a disarm. Whatever you think your inadequacies are, throw them out there and use them as a strength. 100%.
And also with your homies, I bet that it's because they have a certain level of comfortability with you, right? And even when they're joking with you, it's just coming from a pure place of love, right? And vice versa. Because I remember I have a friend of mine, he's a bodybuilding champion, his name's Edgar, and he has no legs from the knees down. You might have seen him, French black guy. Yeah. So I remember at the beginning of his episode, so I always wear shorts and my knees are always showing, and it looks shit because it's cut there on the screen and you just see these two knees at the bottom. So I was telling the videographer, I was like, can you just cut it off at the knees? And Edgar just started cracking up, and I was like, no, I didn't mean to. Like, do you know what I mean? Because and it was just one of those funny situations where it didn't cross my mind, because I say it at the beginning of every episode. But just that one had relevance because he literally had no legs from the knees down, and I was just like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry. No, and he was cracking up. He was like, I know you didn't kind of mean to say that, kind of thing. So it's so interesting, man, how you have to just be okay with that, right?
For sure. Yeah, okay with it. And it's fun when people don't get it, or that you make a joke and they're like really awkward about it. It's like, yo, like chill out a little bit. But Edgar could also beat both of us up. Throw us around the room. He's Jack. So shout out to you. Yeah, he looks great.
Edgar's a really nice guy, man. Such a nice guy. How did you get into, where was it the way you were like, I'm at that place now? Or are you even at that place now where you feel like you've kind of figured it out for yourself in here, that you were like, I want to help other people figure it out?
Mm.
What situation caused that? Because there had to be something that happened.
For sure. There was one of the earliest moments was when I was wrestling and I lost. And I came off the mat and I was pretty upset. And this lady came up to me and she was very emotional. I was like, oh shit. Like, what did I do wrong now, lady? And she's like, I want to thank you. And I was like, for what? And she's like, my daughter's over there and she watched you. And after she was done watching you, she asked me if she could try a sport. And she never wanted to try a sport, Nick.
Wow.
And I felt the fuzzy feeling inside of fulfillment, which we're all seeking, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was an early moment where I realized that I could be an offering to the world. And so I was like, wow, I realized I wasn't only wrestling for myself. I was wrestling for other people. And that gave you, like, talk about a why. It gave me a whole new perspective on life, that if like I could just live my life to the fullest, I'm also going to help other people. And what a blessing. And that there's a lot of other events, but that also made me realize, like, wow, this body, this vessel isn't a curse. This vessel is actually a great gift because it allows me to impact people on a level that a lot of people can't. Like, what a blessing. I'm a unicorn. And if a unicorn can do unicorn things, he's going to inspire other people to do unicorn things, right? And be happy in their body. That evolved into, you remember Vine?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I got famous on Vine because I dressed up as a zombie and I would scare people. I don't know if you all knew that, but I was a prankster.
Okay.
So I would put fake blood on my face and clothes, and I would crawl around Walmart.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I got really famous for it. And, you know, gained 1 million followers my senior year of high school, and I was known as the Zombie King. The Walking Dead hired me. I did amazing things. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Way.
Yeah, it was wild, right?
So you were on The Walking Dead?
I pranked Norman Reedus in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we filmed it, and it was a viral video. But I realized that I could just be a vessel for change. And now, you know, that started earlier on, but now, bro, like, my intention is to build myself into the greatest version of me and give it to you. Give myself to the world. Right? Like I said earlier in the episode, I've served my way to the top, right? Like, I'm going to identify your needs and I'm going to serve you. I'm going to identify the government's needs and I'm going to serve them. I'm going to identify the people's needs. I'm going to the youth, whatever it is. I'm just here to identify needs and be an offering to the world. And I want to show up as my greatest self so I can give you the best version of me.
Yeah.
And so that's, yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, right?
No,
but yeah, like, it was experiencing people changing because of what I did, and I was addicted to that.
Wow.
Right? You can get addicted to drugs and pornography and different things. Like, I'm addicted to serving.
Yeah. That's amazing, dude. Which was the biggest, I mean, I'm assuming it was Tony Robbins, right? The biggest crowd that you ever spoken to. Was it Tony Robbins?
Yep. I did 15,000 people with Tony in Miami Heat Arena.
How does that feel, bro?
And then virtually we did like 50,000 live in his virtual studio.
That must be.
It feels great. I mean, one of the greatest fears is public speaking, and so the fact that it's easy for me to go out there.
But by then you're over.
But bro,
it, right?
What's crazy? Let's be real. I can speak in front of 15,000 people, right? Certainty, confidence. You put a hot girl in front of me, I feel like a 13-year-old kid, right? Like, I need more stage time.
Yeah, but do you know why that is, right?
Why is it?
Because there's more riding on what you say when it's the hot girl. Yeah. Like, you're like, this can end the night in 2 ways. So there's more riding on that than if you're just talking to people. You're like, oh, they're all right. They're going to go home anyway.
Yeah, they're going to go home anyway.
If not, Tony will carry the slack. It's fine. Like, kind of thing, so.
More pressure. But yeah, it's just like, you know, and so the lesson is like, you could be really strong in one area and you need a lot more reps in the other area, right? Yeah. And so it's funny and it's playful, and then, like, sometimes I just crumble and I'm 13-year-old Nick, and then I can go on stage and just rip it, or go on an interview and just be me, right? Yeah. And so, but yeah, I did 50,000 people with Tony in his virtual studio. I toured China a lot for speaking. I did 10,000 people on my own in China. So yeah, do some cool crowds.
That's crazy, dude. And what about the bodybuilding as well? How did that come into it? I know you got something at 10, so I don't want to, because I feel like we're just going to do another episode later anyway. Like, no, I'm going to bring you back because I don't feel like there's enough time.
We'll go part 2 and whatever we can do. But bro, like, initially my why for bodybuilding was girls. I was like, all right.
I feel like that's the why for all of us, all the time.
Why are you in the gym right now? You know? But I realized, I was like, I can't change no legs, one arm, but I could get jacked. and maybe this will help. Maybe this will help with the conversion rate of women. And so early on, it was
thinking like a business from that conversion rate is going to chart. Like yesterday, we didn't do too well.
This one worked. This one didn't. This one like this. But it was for two reasons. It was for girls, and it was also to build a better relationship with myself. And I feel like having a great in physical shape just sets you apart. And I want to find the edge on everything. It's like what everyone else is not doing, I'm going to do, right? And I feel like a lot of people aren't in shape, and so if I could be
100%.
no legs, one arm, and in shape, like I have the double X factor.
You're basically living your whole life showing everyone else that they're just a dick.
That they just suck.
I just want to show more and more people how much they suck because I'm better than them at everything.
Basically. How could I be superior, right? And so the bodybuilding. Also discipline, right? The level of discipline and the level of competitiveness and the level of going to the gym every day and getting shit done. It evolves you. You can apply those principles in all areas of your life. And also, I just want to look good naked. Let's be real. I just want to look good naked, post cool pictures on Instagram, get some likes. But
and
I
then
think
the naked ones on OnlyFans after
that.
Abu Dhabi. I remember. Sorry, I keep remembering you have a very important call tomorrow.
If it all goes wrong,
if
it all goes wrong, we know the plan.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to release this episode next week. So just to get all the meetings done this week before we...
And then we can go off. They're like, everything's canceled.
What haven't you done that you want to do in that world? Not in the, I want to speak to more people or change more people. I'm talking about like extreme sports or that kind of physical thing. What haven't you done that you're like, bucket list, I have to do that too?
Music.
Yeah. Okay.
So like writing, singing, rapping, that type of stuff. It was something that I like didn't do for a very long time because I didn't think I was good enough or I didn't think I could do it. And then I see some rappers and I'm like, I'm way more intelligent and better with words than you. I just have to master the craft, right? And so that's something that I've been releasing lately. I have like one single out and it's been played like pretty much all over the world. It does have millions of streams, but it's a proof of concept. I got evidence, right? Yeah. So that's something that I'll commit to, but more of just not be so serious all the time and be playful, right? And I feel like, my whole mentality is when I'm on my deathbed, I want to have more remember whens and less what ifs. Yeah. Right? I don't want to have any regrets. And I sat with myself and I was like, if I was on my deathbed or I came down with something, God forbid, terminally ill, I'd be so pissed off that I didn't pursue music. I'm like, you idiot. Like you did all these, you skydived and you wrestled and you did jujitsu and you spoke on biggest stages, but you didn't put your music out there. You're an idiot. Right? And so there's a short joke. Life's too short. Life's too short, bro, to not like just.
But again, the type of person you are, I don't think it ends there. I think you do music and then you go, and then there's something else.
For sure.
I don't think that you could ever just chill.
I can't.
Because you just have that in your brain where I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but just from such a young age of people saying you can't, that you're like, I can and I will forever and I'm not going to stop bettering you all, like kind of thing.
100%, bro. I think ultimately people like you and I, we understand that progress equals happiness. Yeah. Right? For you right now, that meter is like you becoming a better father every day, right? You becoming a better husband every day. Like that's your metric, right? But like you want to be a better father tomorrow than you are today. Yeah, 100%. Right? So that's your level of progress. And I think we feel stuck when we feel stagnant or we're moving backwards. Yeah. And so whatever it is in your life, for those that are listening, is just get better. Yeah. And I think you'll find fulfillment in just evolving. It's like when people exit a company, it's like their best and worst day. Yeah. Because they're like, what now? And then they always find something to tinker with. Yeah. And I think we always have to find something to tinker with.
I literally was speaking to my wife's friend yesterday at dinner, and we were talking about her parents. And they're from Moldova, so they have this, beautiful house with a garden and all that, and a vineyard on it and stuff. And I was talking about how, and she was like, my dad's always working and he's always doing something in there and stuff like that. And I feel like when you get elderly, the ones that retire and stop are the ones that die because they got nothing else. Yeah. Like you look at it makes me feel like shit because I can't hang up a picture on a wall. But my wife's dad, this guy's building shit all the time. Like he'll buy an apartment and revamp the whole, like by himself. Yeah. And he's old, like, do you know what I mean? But he doesn't stop. And those kind of people will always, I feel like, live long ages because they're moving. They got something to do. It's not like I'm chill. So even now, if I was a multi-millionaire, I'd be doing something. I'd be like, all right, Kilimanjaro, let's do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be something there.
For sure. I think just the stimulating the brain, right? Instead of going to mush.
Yeah.
They're always
100%.
stimulating the brain, evolving.
Yeah.
Or trying to get some dopamine.
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly,
It's something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important, and you're right. The best way I can describe like human experience or entrepreneurs or people like you and I are very growth minded is like, here's another leg joke, but like you kick the ball down the street. You're like, let me go get the ball, and then you get the ball, and you're like, and then you kick it again. You go chase the damn thing again. So we're always chasing something.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it's the journey of becoming who you become along the way.
100%. Dude, like I said, I know you have a 10 o'clock, so I'm going to give you time to get to that. You can have it here because we're going to continue talking for 4 hours after you finish that call. It's been an absolute pleasure, dude. And you guys, this is your house anytime you need it. And it's nice to make a new friend. And I believe that we're going to do a lot of things together. And we definitely need another episode because I feel like there's another 1,000 things we still need to talk about. But it's been emotional, man. It's been so good.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it, brother. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I want to acknowledge your presence and your question asking. I also love who you are as a father and the way that you get so fired up and angry about anyone touching your kids or doing things. And I just think it's beautiful to see someone who's created something great in business and then also just really values family. I think some of that is jaded. We don't see that in the world. You know, everybody, especially in Dubai, people have Lamborghinis and people have Ferraris and they have businesses, but not a lot of people have deep, meaningful relationships and a good family life. And so I want to acknowledge you for that.
Let's build another deep, meaningful relationship, dude. I'm just gonna call you later and be like, I love you, and you better say it back. I got you. 100% gotta say it back. So we'll cry and remind me your friend's name is Ratmir. Feel free to call me and cry too, bro. This is for everyone. This is an open call for everyone, bro. Like, let's do a cry circle later, bro. Like, yeah, 100%. Dude, thanks again so much, and until next time.
See you next time.